Now, like I stated before, the Pixel 4a has a single camera setup. It's a 12.2 megapixel lens, where the Pixel 5 has a 12.2 megapixel wide angle lens and then a 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor. So we're going away from that telephoto lens we had last year. Now we have an ultra wide sensor here, which is really huge. You can do 4K at 30 on the Pixel 4a, but you can do 4K at 60 on the Pixel 5, which is a huge thing to note. Now looking on the cameras on both, you can see that we pretty much have the same type of layout on both phones. I mean, we have the cameras right here. And like I said before, even if you look side by side right here, you can see on the left of the Pixel 5, we have, the standard zoom lens that we can do. But we also have that ultra wide sensor, which is right here, and we can go and modify it. If we go here, you can see that. Now we don't have that type of capability on the Pixel 4a because it only has one lens. And even side by side, I'm starting to see maybe the Pixel 5's camera is a little bit cooler, or the Pixel 4a's camera is a little bit warmer. Under the video options, you can also see, I think the haptics are much better on the Pixel 5 as well. You can go and see how many more options we have on the Pixel 5, slow motion, time lapse. We don't really have that on the Pixel 4a, as you guys can see. Now under the more options, hopefully we do have more options, and it doesn't really look like it. It looks like we have more options on the Pixel 4a. So we still have photosphere, panorama, slow motion. So we do have slow motion still on here. Time lapse, but it just seems like they moved that over to here. So keep that in mind. I think I was kind of wrong. Now, in terms of the camera quality of this device, I always thought that the Pixel 4a actually had a pretty decent camera setup on it. It's not a crazy nice camera or anything like that, like it's not going to blow your socks off, but I thought it was pretty okay, especially compared to a lot of other budget phones out there. I think it did a pretty decent job, but I think the Pixel 5 does a better job, but I'll get there in a second. I think the Pixel 4a is actually a pretty decent camera for the price. Again, $350. Like, that is a really good price to pay for this type of phone. If you remember back in the day, we had phones like the Nexus 5 and the Nexus 4 that I think were around $400. And those cameras were probably one of the worst ones of that year, if I'm being honest. And this phone is actually a decent camera setup for even cheaper than what that phone was at that time. So that's a pretty big deal. But the Pixel 4a's camera is actually pretty decent. Where the Pixel 5, on the other hand, I think actually has a better camera, not only than the Pixel 4a, but it's actually a pretty good camera. And you guys could probably already see some of the differences. I mean, like going from the Pixel 4a to the Pixel 5, I was already able to see some pretty big differences just from this quick little comparison. And even zooming in, obviously you don't get that, zooming in option, but ultra wide, that's something that's huge. Whether you want, just a little ultra wide sensor, you want something bigger, you still have that type of capability on a phone like a Google Pixel 5, where you don't really have that ultra wide sensor on the Pixel 4a. So that may be a big deal to you. I'm just kind of the messenger. I'm just going to allow you to know that, but that is something that may be huge to you. So in terms of the camera setup, definitely the Pixel 5 wins. Now ending it.